This is the dawn of a special day. A day when America's armed forces receive tribute from the people they serve and the man who is their commander-in-chief, the President of the United States.
This is Armed Forces Day, and all over America today, Americans will be reminded of what we owe to the young men who serve in the armed forces of the United States. These two men symbolize that service because they have rendered service in the highest tradition, far beyond the call of duty. Thank you for being such great Americans under fire, and for reminding us of the fact that we sometimes forget that Americans in this century have had to go into war, not because we wanted war, but because we wanted peace. You've made us proud to be Americans, proud of our flag, and of course proud of you. Thank you.
On the south lawn of the White House, President Nixon had paid the highest honor to heroes of a conflict still being waged to preserve freedom in Southeast Asia. Now he would travel by helicopter to witness the readiness of American forces standing guard in another part of the world, the waters of the Atlantic. Ahead, 14 ships and nearly 10,000 men of an attack carrier striking group of the Navy's Atlantic Fleet made ready for the President's visit. Grouped around the aircraft carrier Saratoga in a tight air defense screen was a formidable armada of cruisers, destroyers, and other support vessels, plus a nuclear-powered submarine. Within the Atlantic Fleet, announcement of the Commander-in-Chief's visit had set off a chain reaction of preparation. Everything from dress rehearsals of military maneuvers to the classic grooming chores of the ocean-going Navy.
Marine 1 will be landing in approximately 2 minutes. Roger. you'll be making an approach from the starboard then, and we will have about a 5-knot tailwind.
Marine 1, roger, that'll be satisfactory.
Richard M. Nixon, once a Navy lieutenant commander, now the 37th President of the United States, is greeted with a 21-gun salute from ceremonial batteries, which have thundered their tribute to so many distinguished guests of the Navy in these waters off Norfolk, Virginia. Modern warfare consists of a staggering complex of equipment and weapons. But men, dedicated and highly trained, are still the backbone of any military operation. On the 4-acre flight deck, where moments before pomp and ceremony were the order of the day, the atmosphere is that of simulated war. Steam catapults jam 3 Gs into the backsides of pilots as they and their weapon systems become airborne. Surface and subsurface guided missiles and rockets are primed aboard the outlying elements of the air defense screen in preparation for a 2-hour firepower demonstration, illustrating for President Nixon the Navy's firepower, mobility, and defense in depth, and how it can be effectively employed across the full spectrum of warfare.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I have a report that our drone target is proceeding inbound. And there goes the Kalos. There goes the second Kalos vessel. Up she goes. A destruction of the drone. There's the way on the Wainwright. There goes a Terrier. There goes a second Terrier up the beam of it. The drone has been splashed. Now Columbus and Sampson. Sampson fires 2 birds. This ASROC, which Sims will fire, will fall with less than a bullet. There it goes. As I indicated before, Haddo is one of our Permit-class submarines. She's 278 away, sublock, going up at the right angle, about 60 degrees.
An F-4J Phantom will be approaching the ship at supersonic speed. Now approaching from the bow are 2 A-7 Corsairs making a napalm attack. An A-6 Intruder. It will be releasing the bombs in sequence. You can see what opponent weapon that might be. And they fire. And you'll see those rockets hit very sharply right in the impact area. There they go. This, of course, is the primary method of bomb delivery. One will fly by at a relatively low speed at approximately 150 knots. Of course, the flares only simulate the tailpipe temperatures of a jet airplane. And there goes one. Two flying gas stations KA-3 tankers off of Vietnam have saved 67 aircraft through the in-flight refueling technique. 5 A-6 intruder aircraft simulate a simultaneous dive bombing attack. They're coming in now at 450 knots and will be releasing at 6,000 feet. As the final event of the air power demonstration, we have a 21-gun salute.
We today honor the armed forces of the United States. To me, you are the peace forces of the world. Because without the strength of the United States of America, there would not be peace in the world, and there could not be the survival of freedom in the world. And so, as I address the magnificent men of the Atlantic Fleet today, and through you, all of the armed forces of the United States of America around this world, just let me say this. When you hear the criticism sometimes of the military complex in this country, when you hear what is wrong with the United States, and particularly what is wrong with our armed forces and what we are necessarily doing in the cause of peace and freedom in Vietnam and every place else in the world, just remember that history will record that never has a great nation had military forces more dedicated to peace and whose activities made a greater contribution to peace than the armed forces of the United States. By what you do, by what you are, we will achieve peace in Vietnam and the Pacific, and we're going to be able to keep peace in the world. I'm proud to be here as the one who has been elected to lead this country, and particularly proud to stand in the presence of the men over whom I am Commander-in-Chief. Thank you very much, and my very best wishes to the peace forces of the United States and the world. There are some things that impressed me very much by what I saw. First, the magnificent teamwork. The teamwork that is so essential for an operation of this type. I realize that when we see a man whose opportunities to do his job are only made possible by hundreds of men on the ground or on the flight deck, working together as a team. When I saw that teamwork, it made me feel very confident of the armed forces of this country and of the United States Navy and the various functions that it must carry out. To me, you are the peace forces of the world. Because without the strength of the United States of America, there would not be peace in the world, and there could not be the survival of freedom in the world. And that's the proud duty you have.
And so, for the men of the Atlantic Fleet, a very special day ends. A day to remember, and a day to be proud.